And then the next show coming up is from a German company. They're Junges Ensemble Stuttgart.
Very good.
Yeah. Another one of the, I suppose, in Ireland we have. It's only relatively recently that we have any kind of substantial, if it even is substantial, a sector of people making theatre for young audience, for children. But in Northern European countries, people are at it a lot longer, and there aren't just a handful of companies. There are many of them. But from what I believe, Junges Ensemble Stuttgart are one of the venerable companies making theatre for children, and this particular show is a riff on or development of the story of kind of Hansel and Gretel.
And exactly what you say, the tradition and the sector of theatre for young audiences in Europe is a lot longer established, is a lot better resourced, and there are a lot more companies making work. And what I loved about this piece, one of the things that I loved about this piece, was the performers in it are slightly older than performers we would see. A lot of the time in Ireland, the theatre for young audiences, the performers are young and they're maybe just out of college or not long out of college. But what I like about this show is the two performers here are more established actors, and in some way that gives a lovely juxtaposition because the audience are quite young and the performers are a bit older, and the engagement of the two. And in the great tradition of theatre, it is storytelling, and it feels a bit more like the adult to the child storytelling experience. But yes, it is the story of Hansel and Gretel, and what it is we meet Hansel and Gretel when they're older, brother and sister. They're sharing a house together, and one day a year they open their house to the general public and invite people to come in, where they share the story of what happened to them. And it's a sort of a way for them, it's a sort of a therapy for Hansel and Gretel to work through the experience and the trauma of what happened to them. It's great. And of
course, though it's from Germany, it's performed in English.
It's performed in English. But when I saw it first, I saw it in German at the Panopticon Festival in Nuremberg a number of years ago. And I had studied German in school and had like some basic words, and I was catching every other word. But the lovely thing about hearing it in a language that I didn't understand was I watched the audience as much as I watched the performers to see their engagement of it for pieces that I didn't understand. And that was a lovely way to know that this is the piece of theatre that really works, because the audience were so engaged and so part of it. And there's a beautiful song in it, Nicht mehr allein, and
No More Alone.
No More Alone. And what that's the one thing that I missed. I then saw it in English at the Imaginate Festival in Edinburgh, and when they sang the song in English I was going, I preferred it in German actually. That's interesting to see how things survive the translation, but the story definitely survived, and I loved seeing it in the English language, and our audience, I know, will love this. And there's lots of nice little twists and turns to the story. There's the very recognisable story of Hansel and Gretel, and then what we don't know, what happened after.
And what I love about theatre for children is, I mean, of course there's design in it, but a lot of the time when you mention storytelling, a lot of the kind of creational performance left over to the imaginations of children. And that's so important, I think, at an early age, to activate children's imagination rather than constantly. They're often can be very passive when they're participating in culture or in entertainment, so that's a really positive thing, I think. This interaction,
because the story of Hansel and Gretel, as we know, has darkness to it, and children are moved to go in that direction in their imaginations, and then come back to the safety of the piece and the performance and the welcome of the performers in there in the space. And I suppose one of the things for me that's really important overall with theatre for children is that it does offer that safe place to explore dark issues.
Yeah, if I think a few years ago back to something like A Feast of Bones, I mean, that was pretty on the edge. Before we went, no, it's fine, there's a twist. There's a twist, And
actually, I think we as adults and parents underestimate the children's ability to go there, to go to the dark places, to explore it and come back. And they need to do that. And as Puni Morell, who's the artistic director of the Unicorn in London, she said that children aren't fooled by our telling them that the world is a safe and happy place. They know it's not. They know that there's hardship, they know that there's difficulty, they know things are unfair, but they also know that there's joy and happiness and play. But it can't always be that. And again, the theatre space is a lovely safe place for them to explore what isn't happy, what isn't safe, what is unfair.
I mean, it's a real skill as well to judge how far you can push it.
Exactly, and bring them back to the safe space. And it's lovely when they share, like we have, our audiences will come either in a school group or with their family, and if they share it with their friends in school, they can go away and discuss it, and if there's anything that's sparked something for them, they have the chance to explore it afterwards. But what's lovely is families as well, parents get to discuss things that may be difficult to bring up, and this might be a nice way to chat to each other about issues that are important in life.
True. And of course, I mean, people can talk about what they've watched on their tablet or on YouTube, but actually experiencing something together is very, very different, and being able to talk about it afterwards.
That's it, completely. The live experience and the shared live experience. We've all shared this experience together, which is lovely. So this is a lovely piece, and similar to the cake, there's also food here. They hand out cookies in the middle of the show.
Be careful that you create expectations that can't be delivered
year
on year.
Yes, there's food everywhere.